So you want to main Nike, goddess of victory. First, ask yourself, why do you want to main Nike? You're a team player. You like winning. She's a walking passive. Your teammates will thank you. You're loud, so you can relate to Nike. But before you main her, it's good to know the cons of Nike. She doesn't do much on her own. She relies on her teammates to follow up. Nike is a Greek SMITE warrior. SMITE has classified her as an easy god, and I find her average due to her laning phase. If you're an experienced Nike player, or you just love playing her, feel free to leave any of your own tips down in the comments below. In this guide, we're going to go through Nike as a solo in the mode Conquest, going through her abilities, attack cancelling, combos, builds, counters, what not to do, and general combat tips. But you can also easily apply this guide into other game modes as well. With that, let's go through her abilities. Nike's passive to victory. Nike sets 3 goals that the team can achieve to gain strength. Nike's team gains a laurel that increases power and movement speed. Goal 1, eliminate 10 gods as a team. Goal 2, eliminate 250 minions as a team. Goal 3, at least 2 allies are level 20. This is a very team-oriented passive, and it benefits her team greatly. Her team receives this passive no matter where they are on the map. Nike's first ability, Rend. Nike's 1 is a line ability type. Nike slams the ground twice that deals damage to targets. If a target is hit twice, the target loses protections for 5 seconds. If Nike's second ability is active, Rend gains an additional attack. So instead of slamming twice, Nike will slam 3 times. If the target is hit 3 times, the target is disarmed. Nike is immune to knockbacks for the duration. This ability is her main damage and clear. Nike's second ability, Plan of Action. Nike's second ability is a stim ability type. Upon activating, Nike gains HP 5. Nike's next ability gains bonus damage and a special effect. This ability works directly with the rest of her abilities. A majority of the time, you want to have this active before using an ability. As you can only activate this for one ability at a time, you'll have to use it strategically. Nike's third ability, Valiant Leap. Nike's 3 is a leap ability type. Nike crashes down at a location, dealing damage and knocking up enemies. If her second ability is active, she travels to the location much faster. This ability is her main engagement and escape. Most of the time, I recommend saving this ability as an escape during her laning phase. During team fights, I recommend using this ability for engagements. Her ultimate gives her a large shield that will protect her. She's not as easily punished for using her escapes as engagements. Nike's ultimate, Sentinel of Zeus. Nike's ultimate is an area ability type. Nike transforms into an armored sentinel and sends out a shockwave. This will damage and slow enemies around her. While in this form, she gains a percentage of her max health as a shield that lasts for 10 seconds. If her second ability is active, Nike gains an additional 20% shield. This ability is extremely great in team fights. Because of her ultimate, she is harder to punish and can be played more aggressively when this ability is up. Before we move on to leveling priority, I want to give you a few strategies on when and why on each ability you should activate her second ability. For her first ability, I would activate her second ability with her 1 for clearing. The 3 hits instead of 2 on minions waves will help a lot. When you're fighting an enemy, 3 hits equals more damage and a disarm. If you need to get in or out faster, this should be rarely used though, and I wouldn't recommend using this ability with her second ability. For her ultimate, if you need to increase your shield health because you're taking more damage than you thought you would, or generally in team fights if your team relies on you to tank. Now let's get into the leveling priorities for Nike's abilities. For the first 5 levels, at level 1, her 1, at level 2, her 2, at level 3, her 3, at level 4, her 1, at level 5, her ultimate. For leveling priority, her 1 for increased damage, protection, shred, and disarm duration, her 2 for increased HP 5, bonus damage, and cooldown reduction, her ultimate for increased damage and shield health, her 3 for increased damage. So basically, 1, 2, 4, 3. Attack cancelling on Nike. Attack cancelling allows for some extra basic attack damage, which means you can get more damage off in the time you're waiting for the attack animation to complete. This isn't mandatory to do, but with Nike, you'll want to learn this for sure. I'm actually going to say that you need to learn this one because this will help you with your clear, which Nike struggles with. So this is Nike's normal basic attack chain. We're going to cancel the third one. Put Nike's first ability on quick or instant cast, whichever you're most comfortable with. Nike's first 2 basic attacks are in AoE. You want to hit the minions twice as you will hit multiple of them, and as soon as your second basic attack is fired, use your first ability. This is really important. You'll also want to do this with her second ability, so this is what it should look like for a full clear combo with attack cancelling. Use 2 basics, use her 2, use 2 basics, use her 1. Remember that her second ability gives her first ability 3 slams. Combos for Nike. Before we get into combos, a few pointers. Remember that Nike's second ability is extremely good when her first ability and her ultimate. When used on her first ability, it gives her 3 slams and a disarm on top of the protection shred. When used on her ultimate, it will give her increased shield health. Try to use her 2 as much as possible when it's active. Her third ability is used both as an escape and engagement. I really recommend using it as an engagement in teamfights. Nike is not really a boxing 1v1 god. She shines the most in teamfights. With her combos, you'll really rely on your teammates to follow up with more damage, so don't be too bummed out if you don't end up killing the enemy god. Nike built with a solo build trying to solo a god will honestly just be a really slow death for the opponent. With any of these combos, you can use your third ability to engage. Remember that your leap has a knock-up. Use the knock-up time to activate your second ability. I really recommend having Nike's first ability on either quick or instant cast. There is not really a reason to have it on normal cast. I also recommend having Nike's ultimate on quick cast. For short combos, 2 and 1. For medium combos, 2, 1, 4, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 1. For full combos, 3, 2, 4, 1. 3, 4, 2, 1. Builds for Nike. Builds always depend on what kind of enemy you're up against. My builds in this video are just a general guideline. You can adjust accordingly depending on your game and situations. Her builds are very team-oriented, so they vary a lot. Her builds are generally counters, plus CDR, plus mystical mail. As the basis, Guardian's Blessing or Berserker's Shield, I would grab Berserker's Shield if you're against a physical god. And then Warrior Tabi. Ancile, only Hunter's Garb or Talisman of Energy if you're against a magical opponent, Void Shield, or Breastplate of Valor if against a physical opponent. And eventually, you'll want a physical mail in the build, typically 4th slot. Other items you can build depending on what your team or yourself needs but not limited to are for physical defense, Heart of the Nemean Lion against physical basic attack based gods, Midgardian Mail against physical basic attack based gods. For magical defense, Genji's Guard, Bulwark of Hope, and mixed items, Spirit Robe, Mantle of Discord, Heart of the Urchin. So as you can see, it's not easy to find a set build for Nike as it just varies so much. For relics, it's also always game dependent, but the most common relic picked up for her is Teleport Glyph when playing solo, Heavenly Wings, Shell, or Shield of Thorns. Counters of Nike. Nike's first ability is easy to interrupt. Keep this in mind when against solos with CC like stuns. She is, however, immune to knockups during this ability. She struggles in the laning phase, but with a tip for clearing, that should help out a lot. Nike is basically a lose lane, win game type of god. She doesn't have high pressure. Heavenly Wings counters her ultimate. Being behind. Nike needs to keep up with her teammates and the enemy team in regards to gold, level, etc. What not to do as Nike. Do not play too aggressively when you're by yourself. Your damage is not great and you have little CC. Do not focus on kills in the laning phase unless you have a lot of ganks. Do not go into teamfights without your team being ready. Nike heavily relies on her teammates to follow up. Do not try to box the solo. Do not rotate too much. Nike needs to keep up in farm with the enemy solo, and getting put behind will hinder her and her team. Tips for Nike. The biggest tip for Nike is to survive the laning phase. Once you get to late game, it's game over for the enemy team. Remember that you can use your third ability to engage in teamfights. It's hard to kill Nike when she has a team backing her up plus her ultimate. Remember that your first ability has protection shred on it if landed twice on one enemy. You can also diss some enemies with your first ability if your second ability is active. I would focus this on enemy gods who rely on their basic attacks. The best thing about Nike is her passive and her ultimate. You don't have to really do much. If the opponent has built Heavenly Wings to counter your ultimate, try and see if you can bait it out or wait for it to be used. That way you can definitely get the slow up in her ultimate. Keep a lookout on enemy relics like beads, which can also counter her slow from her ultimate. Nike is hard to punish due to her ultimate. This allows you to play really aggressive in teamfights. And that is all for the Nike guide. Before I go, I just want to ask if any of you guys are going to DreamHack Atlanta, or as formerly known HRX. I will be doing a meet and greet there, and I would love to meet as many of you as possible, so let me know in the comments if you're going. Any comments and like to be super rad, let me know down in the comments on who you would like to main next. Feel free to subscribe and click the bell if you haven't already, it really helps me out. I'll catch you for the next one. Bye!